Hello everyone, Nick Shaheen here, looking at Netflix. Feels like I haven't done a video on Netflix in a while, so let's look at it. Pretty messy looking stock chart, but it's not really. I'll show you a few reasons why. It was predictable the way it behaved, and recently it had the earnings report and some other headlines, and then the COVID hit, and then it's a COVID stock, it's not a COVID stock. So kind of confusing, but if you turn off the news, you can trade the chart all by itself. I'm looking at a daily chart, a big disappointment in July as far as earnings, a big disappointment here in October, popped and dropped. A good, finally, reaction that had some legs, but then it's not surprising where it failed, and I'll show you why. And then the COVID crash, a V recovery, which makes sense because of how we use Netflix. I'm watching more stuff. I'm not a Netflix client, but I'm streaming more stuff now than I did before. And I'm sure I'm not alone. Everybody's stuck at home. More people are watching. That's why they killed it in the earnings report. And why is it down? Type of a deal. So here, I expected a fail because of what happened before. It failed. All right, so this is bad, but not really. What happens is they had a nice rally, and then it got to a point of prior failure. So then it's normal to give back a little bit to build better hands. In other words, the stock ownership changes from somebody who's booking profits into somebody saying, hey, I missed the last rally, let me get in this time. And then it gets to the same neckline, and then it breaks out. Similar things happened here at a smaller time frames, and it was tradable. And I did share triggers with the members, so it wasn't a surprise that it went to 430 plus. In fact, as soon as it triggered, I said the target is 430. It could be 480, but I need some things to happen before it hits the 480 mark. So halfway between 430 and 480, I'll take that as a win. But if you look at it here, the upside is not done. What does that mean? Dips are buyable in this stock. In fact, it should be going over 500 based on this chart. And I'll show you why. We'll zoom out. But first, let me put down the marks that I had on it. Let me reset it to make sure I'm not. Okay, so the mess here was tradable, so the breakout was right there. As soon as it went above 380 and change, this path was already in the cards. And let me zoom in. Maybe I'll find neater looks at it. Okay, so around the earnings, it's trading around if you draw a line in between, so it's ping-ponging between the two. That's not bad, given that they were disappointed. It is disappointing to have them clobber the estimates as far as new signups, and then the stock does that. It's disappointing. But if you look at it, there was a push, and the consolidation, and then another push about equal the same size as the first one. So it's only normal that they breathe again. And it doesn't take a lot of guesswork to know that it could fall, but as long as it falls and stays above the prior necklines, it's okay. That's normal. When they break out from a neckline, what is a neckline? Is a place where they failed. Look, they failed this whole time. They broke above it, and if you look at it, it's like an inverse head and shoulder. So you've heard of the head and shoulder scary pattern, right? This is the opposite of it. So it's a bullish pattern. I know some people might have an issue with it because I don't draw them perfectly, but I draw them in a consistent way that always comes true. So maybe this is a complex head and shoulders, multiple here. So the idea is they failed miserably, and then the bears tried again, but the bears failed miserably, and then the bulls beat them, so they overshoot. And how much higher? About this much higher. So that's the 480 target that I got as soon as they broke out of here. And what happened now? They came back to test the neckline from which they broke out because it was resistance. You've heard it said, prior resistance becomes forward support. Well, the good news is they're not even near it. So they're holding their own support up here based on this candle. So here's the thing. As long as it stays above 410, this upside, I would still stay in it. And now we have a descending wedge, lower highs bumping on the floor. If the floor holds, they're going to do this and finish the job. If not, they'll fall back and still be okay because they're really testing the support. Now, if they lose that, that's a different conversation, but this is a point of control, so I don't expect them to just go through it like butter. All right, so why do I say this? You followed the concept, right? So I'm going to go back to the daily chart and zoom out a little bit to see more of it. And maybe take out all the lines, because I know some people are allergic to lines. Let's draw new ones, simple ones, crayon style. Okay, so remember we said neckline? This is a different time frame completely. The other one was right here. The whole thing we just drew. This is a neckline right there. So again, I told you I won't draw them perfectly because this one should be up here, but I'm sure I'll find one if I go back far enough back there. But the idea is the bears pushed the bulls down. Then they pushed them again and made a lot more headway. And then they pushed them a third one, and then they didn't do as much damage as this time. So now we're looking at another inverse head and shoulders, though not perfect neckline. Don't care for me. So technically, they should have more upside. And again, that 480, 500 plus number, this is where I get it. So it's not going there in a straight line. There's a daddle right here. So if I draw a box around there, the breach of this box tells me, yes, let's go, or let's retest the neckline one more time. That's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about for Netflix. I'm not a fan. I'm not an uber bull of the stock. Trust me on that one. I've shorted it many times. I've written about it negatively, and I still don't like the way management handles things. But that aside, that's how it's trading right now. So this was the high that it just set before the earnings. So it's a lot to take in a short period of time. So a little bit of disappointment on the earnings should not break anybody's heart. All right, so let's take this to another set of lines. And this one is on the weekly chart. So the weeklies are usually slower. They tend to take a little bit longer to develop. But look at it. This is still in progress. It's not set. You can see like this, the headline, the neckline here and then the neckline there. So they just broke over this, right? And if you draw a line, they need to at least touch it once. And it's not a hard line in the sand, so it's a zone. They're breaking out of a huge, when was that? Okay, Chris, just October 2018. So they broke out of, maybe, I'll double check. So they broke out of a range that was a big lid. I mean, this was a big top. They never came back to it for a long time. And they finally broke out. And you don't expect a couple of red candles, or are you scared out after a couple of red candles? Then you're not a fan. You're just a poser. No, I'm just kidding. July of 2018. So patience is what I'm saying. I wouldn't back out. If I'm long, this is not a reason to leave. I'm trying to find a time frame that looks best. Okay, here. Put back the lines because they do mean a lot for short term. If, again, the plan is, if you can hold this 410-ish neckline, you're in great shape because of this developing descending wedge of sorts. You've got lower highs against the floor. The floor holds, they try to attack it again. I have an orange dotted line because that's my alert. Chase it. I have an orange dotted line because that's my alert. Hey, get ready. It's going to dip again by the dip. Because as soon as it hits 390-ish, if you're lucky, that's a dip to buy because my assumption is that they're going to back up. And with tight stops. So if you think that, they lose the neckline, you want to get out, then put your own stops. I'm not recommending anybody trade it that way. This is how my plan is for this stock. And if you're in the chat room, you'll see the notes all day about something like that. I mean, we do this all day. If you're not in the chat room, below in the description, I should start putting them somewhere in the video. In the description, there's a link. Click on it, get into the chat room and see what it's all about. It's total fun. And we look for opportunities like this all day. Next signing out.